Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is The Black and White Show.
Hello everyone, welcome back to this week's Black and White Show. It has been a hectic week, of course it has, because Premier League football is back. And this time tomorrow we'll know if Newcastle have won a game of football, a proper game of football, not a friendly, a proper game of football. I've got Owen Shepherd and I've also got Kyle Thompson with me tonight. Owen, how are you today?
I'm fabulous, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, very, very good. Kyle, how are you tonight?
Not too bad. I hope everybody that is watching is doing fantastic, and I hope you two are doing good as well. So, feeling good about tomorrow. I cannot wait.
Yeah, definitely. You're so kind, aren't you, Kyle? You can WhatsApp us on free tonight. Okay, the number is on the screen. It's 07476 4971 66. We'll be talking Takeover. We'll be talking season ticket renewals. It's been all busy at Newcastle United for the last 7 days or so. Remember, the Sheffield United preview was yesterday, so if you're expecting something along like that, just let you go on yesterday's video. You get to see me again. Lucky you. Let's have a look at the Premier League scores from today. Just very briefly, Watford 1, Leicester 1. Ben Chilwell gave Leicester a late winner, which it seemed to be, with a fantastic strike. But Dawson equalised. Craig Dawson, who Newcastle were linked with a few times when Rafa was in charge. A long time ago, wasn't it, Owen?
Yeah. Sam would
Dawson,
know.
Sam would know. Dawson giving Watford an equaliser with a back overhead kick. It was really, really good, actually.
At least he's in a Lejeune.
Exactly. Brighton 2, Arsenal 1. Neil Maupay with a late winner for Brighton to send them above, send them on 32 points. 2 points off Newcastle now, or 3 points off Newcastle, I should say. So, yeah, they'll be feeling really, really good after that. Nicolas Pepe gave Arsenal a lead, but a bad injury from Leno was probably the biggest talking point from that game. Wolves were a comfortable 2-0 win. West Ham moves them into joint fifth with Manchester United. Goals from Jimenez and Neto giving Wolves the win. And as you've just seen, yes, Jonathan, my Wi-Fi has gone to the next level.
You got upgrade, John.
I did. And finally, Owen's team, Bournemouth, just lost 2-0 at home to Crystal Palace. Milivojevic and Ayew with 2 goals in the first half. So that's all your Premier League reaction. It's good to have it back, isn't it, lads? And Owen, before we talk about all things Newcastle, how good is it just to have Premier League football back?
Honestly, it's the moment I've been waiting for this past 3 months since we first went into lockdown. I was gutted when football went, and obviously there's only so much you can really do while football's not on. I think the majority of us would agree that we all live for the weekend. We all live for the football. And it's been odd not having it, but it's made me a lot happier having it back this weekend. It's given me something to do in those moments where you're like, I'm a bit bored. Instead of going like, I don't know what you guys do when you're bored, but now you can just nip in, watch the football. Oh, what game's on? Oh, it's all televised. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, really excited to have it back.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's fantastic. Get your comments in on if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Get them all in. Max says hello. Hello, Max. There's a shout out to you. Got some good comments as well. And remember the WhatsApp, the number will be on the bottom of the screen. It's 074764 97166. Right, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is season ticket refunds. Kyle, I remember this time last year where you were having a bit of bother with the box office with season tickets and tickets. It seems like a long time ago. But finally, Newcastle have said you can get a refund, sort of. You can get a refund or a account credit, which basically, if you're to go that shop that Mike Ashley runs, I'm not going to say it, I'm sure you can see it on the screen. If you say return something, you can't get a refund from that. You can get what's called store credit, which is kind of similar to what Newcastle have done with some of the tickets in regards maybe season tickets. But in regards to, say, the Manchester City game, for example, Kyle, the club says you can pretty much get a refund, no problems. It was £15 a ticket for an adult's ticket. That's good news, isn't it?
As always, though, mate, there's always a catch with Mike Ashley and this in-store credit and all this bullshit. It's really pissed me off, to be honest, because it's like trading a game in a Granger Games. Or, well, they've closed down. It's CEX or cash converters or something like that. And they're like, oh, do you want? It's like you'll get a bit extra for your in-store credit over cash, and that's exactly what it's like. It's so bizarre, but. I expected nothing different under this current regime. He'll do anything to pocket any amount of money. I mean, sums him up when he's trying to keep his stores open during lockdown, and then he opens his stores a day early, and then just sums him up as a bloke, really. But I suppose in some capacity, at least the refunds have eventually went through. I mean, it's later than everybody else by some stretch, and I think they've only done it because they've been forced to. Really, otherwise they would be they'd be knackered, wouldn't they? They'd be getting sued left, right, and centre. So I think it's more out of they've been more forced to than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Jason Lee is not very well, to be honest with you. He's not feeling very well. He said he's been sick all night. I think he's been out. I think he's been having too many shandies personally, but he's not going to talk about it. He might put a comment in now, but yeah, we'll see when he replies. If Carlos says, come on the tune, Tomorrow's can't wait, we're going to do it. And that's probably the Geordiest way I'm going to say it, to be honest. A lot of people are saying, come on the tune, come on Newcastle. Newcastle win 3-0. Zach says, Joe Litton to get to. I hope so, Zach. I hope so.
Optimistic.
Very optimistic. Joseph Beard says up the mags as well. So yeah, so fantastic comments. Keep them going. Obviously, the WhatsApps we'll try and do them once every 15 minutes to catch up as well. Owen, yes. Supporters who purchase single match tickets are entitled to refunds, as we've mentioned, for Manchester City. But why were Newcastle the 20th Premier League club to say yes to this? Was it a potential takeover? Was the biggest reason, or do you think Mike Ashley saying, well, "Can we leave this as late as possible"?
Probably. My first answer would be because we've got the most incompetent owner in the Premier League that just likes to pocket the money. Exactly, Kyle. Likes to pocket money, likes to just wind us up. It feels like that way anyway. So that would be my first answer. The second one is not as negative. I mean, look at the takeover. That could be something that's holding it up. But at the end of the day, it's still it's still down to Mike Ashley. He still is the current owner of this club. So he should be the one dealing with it until the club is sold. So, yeah, it's just one of those, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was greeted with, oh, fantastic, we're going to get a refund. And then when you kind of read it through step by step on the official website, it's like, maybe not. Rowan says, how does Owen feel about Bournemouth's results?
I've seen the comment now. He's like,
happy. I'm so glad that Bournemouth are one step close to relegation. I've had my mate crying to me on Snapchat today because he's like, oh, Bournemouth being relegated.
Ben says Lee just can't wait for hashtag cans. He's been having too many cans, that's why he's been sick all night. Rigby says, what's the takeover? Rigby, that'll be on part 2 of the Black and White show. We've got 3 or 4 parts tonight, but we're going to cut them into about 15 minutes each. Peter says he'll take a draw on 3 points against West Ham. That should be enough. Right, going back onto the season tickets, Kyle. The half-season tickets that obviously everybody wanted to buy because it was free, you don't get your money back there, obviously, because they were free. You don't get any credit, you don't get anything like that, which is kind of understandable. It would be nice if they threw in, I don't know, a big Newcastle mug or something, but
it wouldn't be Newcastle, trust us.
Definitely not. However, the season ticket, that's the worrying thing for me, because I'm a season ticket holder, have been for years. I think I'm on the 10-year deal or 9-year deal, one of the two. Mm-hmm. So I get money coming out of my account every month. Doesn't matter, rain, sun, whatever. Newcastle will take in a certain amount of money out of my account every month. Now, for this year's season ticket, 2019-20, I am eligible for a pro rata, as they say in America, refund, which basically means I can potentially get store credit or a potential payment for next season. So I don't have to pay as much for the following season. It's okay. It sounds complicated, Kyle, but is it good news?
I don't know. You're the one with a 10-year season ticket deal, mate. Is it good news for you? Would you prefer less on your deal next year, or would you prefer your money back? Like, what do you think? Because you're the only one on the channel with a 10-year deal, as far as I know. I know Mark did before he left, but other than that, you're the only one.
I would only say on regards to that, Kyle, is that everybody financially, some people might have obviously a well-paid job and might not miss a certain amount of money. Some people literally live by paycheck to paycheck, essentially. My personal opinion, I don't mind it if it's going to be for next season, but my only catch to that, say we start the season in September with no fans in. I don't want money coming out when there's no fans being able to go to the game. If we start the season with fans in the ground and I can go and watch my team, then fine. I don't mind that because it means it's less to pay going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very complicated to say the least. If you were me, Kyle, which I know you'd be fantastic because you'd still be an NE29 lad.
I'd have a better beard.
Well, maybe one day.
This one's shocking.
Would you want to look into the future? Would you like to maybe let the club take the payment, or would you like to maybe just keep your money and see what happens with the future?
I mean, personally, if you're not getting something you've paid for, I'd probably want a refund. If I'm honest, mate, if you get to the start of next season and it's still the same stuff and they're still taking money out now, you should be entitled to getting that money back. They're not an in-store credit or spend money at Sports Direct or whatever, get a Sports Direct mug or whatever it may be. You'd want your money back properly. If you it's like buying something from a certain restaurant that you may or may not work for and getting something completely different or not getting it at all, but you still paying for it. Would that be a good thing? If a customer says, "Oh, this is great, this nice bowl of air," do you know what I mean? Would they want a refund? Of course they would. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I couldn't possibly comment, Kyle.
But you know what I mean? It's like you pay for something as the person who's paying for it. You demand a refund if you're not getting that service. Do you know what I mean? So definitely entitled to a refund. And if I was in your shoes, I'd be wanting one.
Yes, well, they might get an email. Who knows? We'll see what happens from now at the end until maybe the start of next season. Peter says, "I'd want my money back at least until the Saudis want it." Potentially, we'll talk about the takeover very soon. Owen, direct debits are still coming out. As Sal mentions, Beer 52 do a great range of cans. We'll mention our spot. Well, it's probably the perfect time to mention our sponsors: Beer 52, Amazon, and Free Retro. Big thanks to all of them because they keeps the channel going. Helps us with better technology, etc. But Beer 52, you can get 8 cans for $5.95, which is just basically the postage. Owen's had all of his, haven't you, Owen? Because 18
I can't say I've had all of them. I can say the ones I've had are delicious.
Fantastic. And you can also come on our fantastic membership programs as well on Facebook, the private group, which is inundated with loads and loads of videos daily. So I fully recommend that. And again, with YouTube as well, you can be bronze, silver, gold. I recommend gold because who doesn't want to be a gold member of anything? Exactly. And obviously, we've got loads of videos on NFTV Extra. Kyle's been getting all the videos out with Paul. The Green and Milner show will be back again next week with Steve Harmison. If you've got any questions for Steve, put them in the comments below. Me and Sam will check them and we'll write some down. We're interviewing them on Monday. So we're thoroughly looking forward to that as well. Oh, and as I was saying, direct debit payments will continue for season ticket holders. Is that fair?
No, I don't think so. I think they should be stopped while the football's not on because after all, that is what you're paying your direct debit for at the end of the day, isn't it? It's the same with any subscription you may have. If you're paying a Netflix subscription and Netflix all of a sudden doesn't work for a period of time for everybody, then you shouldn't be expected to pay for your direct debit. And I'm sure Netflix wouldn't do it. But because this is Newcastle United Football Club, because Mike Ashley runs the club, fans are still expected to have the direct debit taken out of their account whenever. And, they're just being technically robbed of their money, sort of. It's unfair. I mean, think about it. Some people, they can afford to pay for the football and that is their one treat for the week and they struggle to get by the rest of the week. And that direct debit still being taken out, even though they're not being treated to that football. If you were allowing them to have that money, they'd be living a lot of a happier life, considering the situation we're in at the moment as well. So, yeah, I think direct debits is just an unfair thing to put on fans.
Mm-hmm. Jose says fans better sue Mike Ashley if he doesn't refund the money and make him get a lawsuit. I think he's got a very good lawyer, does Mr. Ashley, unfortunately. But I'd fancy that we could give it a good go. Brandon, who was massively keen on Newcastle fans TV, so a big thanks to Brandon. The NFTV Extra channel, I would definitely recommend it. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed to Newcastle Fans TV, press that little button. And also, if you can like the video, that would be a massive, massive help as well. Kyle, they're not issuing refunds to supporters on long-term price freeze deals, as we've mentioned, but they said they will review the position when more information is given about the next season, as in 2020-2021, which, if you hear what most journalists or most people in the know think it might be about mid to late September. Now, the government obviously have just put from level 4 to level 3 in terms of the COVID scale. We're still talking, obviously, what we're in now, June. You're still thinking that's still maybe 3 or 4 months away. You would think by then, COVID should be at worst level 2, maybe even at level 1, which would be no COVID at all in the UK. Do you think the club can wait till the very last second in regards to issuing season ticket prices? Or do you think that will be dependent on whether the government say people are allowed back in stadiums?
Well, to be fair, it's down to two things. It's down to the state of the country by then, and then who's the current regime of the club. If it's Mike Ashley, you're guaranteed we'll have to wait very last second until we hear something, because he's done it with this situation, and he's done it with many a situation over the years. So for me, it just depends on the situation. I don't think COVID-19 will be completely gone by September. I think we'll be down to level 2 or maybe even level 1, but it's hard to say whether we'll be back in grounds or not, because even at this current minute, we're a million miles away from packing into stadiums 52,000 and things like that. Still miles away from that.
Yeah, it's baby steps though, Owen, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
there was a comment that I've seen on Twitter today, Owen. I don't know if you've seen it. That should they just let season ticket holders back in socially distanced? So potentially, say Newcastle, I don't know, I'm going to put a rough figure, 30,000, or say every 5,000 season ticket holders at a time can watch Newcastle, as long as they're spaced out, say in level 4, which I think you can do with 5,000 people. Could you do that, say, on a rota basis for the first few games, just so that, you know, Newcastle fans can watch the team or other fans can watch the team?
I think you think about the amount of season ticket holders there are and the amount of seats there are in St James's Park. St James's Park has the capacity to socially distance people while in the stadium. Obviously, the only issue then is, like, if you're from the same family, like sitting next to each other, and then like whatever, the spacing doesn't quite work out. But I mean, it's got the capacity to be able to do it, and I think it's a really good idea. It's something that I've thought about. I haven't seen the comment, but it's something I thought about beforehand, just to get that little bit of atmosphere back and let the fans back in. Because if you can do it, like, no one's good, like, you're sat in the same seat every game, so it's not like someone else is going to come along and you've got that chance of spreading it. You all leave socially distanced as well. I think it's a very realistic option at the end of the day. I think that could be gradually that's how we could see fans return to football stadiums is through season ticket holders and social distancing within the stadium.
Yeah. Oh, and apparently you've won the Battle of the Vintage Tune shirts tonight. I've seen a couple of comments on that, so well done.
Actually, hard to be fair.
It's a tough one because there's only one season in it. Oh no, sorry, a couple of seasons in it.
125-year anniversary top.
Yeah. So
what about a team in this season, man?
That was the championship season.
Championship
season.
Yeah.
It was a good season though under Houghton.
Yeah.
Jonathan Young says, Owen, who's the next guest on Talking Toon?
Well, yet to be decided. It's whoever really wants to take it, really. I mean, which one of you two wants to come on first? I'll give you first dibs if you want.
I'll come on. Why not?
Oh, well, there you go, Kyle.
Looks like Kyle's the next guest
next week. I was going to come on in anyway, and then I think the football was on, so you decided to leave it for another time. But I'll be the next guest. Spot on.
It's all right, mate. It's all right, because all you need to do is obviously the guests get better and better and better as they go along. So you've had like Sam and that. You don't need to bother with Sam. You get Kyle and me.
You peak at the best postcode, my friend.
Exactly.
And 29. Spot on.
Just a reminder for the WhatsApp, it's 074 764 97166. We'll be reading them out in a couple of minutes at this part, and then we'll talk Takeover. Last question in regards to everything in regards to season ticket renewals. Does the communication at the club need to be so much better, Kyle? Because we've been saying this for a long, long time. Regardless of who the new owners could be, or the old owners, whoever it is, seriously, the communication needs to be so much better.
It's been a long time coming that we've been saying that, Johnny. We've said it for a long time in most areas of Newcastle United, whether that be what they want to do with transfers, what they're doing with manager situations, season tickets, the future of the club in general, fans, forums, everything, every ground covered in terms of Newcastle United. There's been a question over the communication at the football club, and that's down to the person that runs it. I don't think the communication will ever improve until we're finally rid of him, to be honest, and hopefully whoever a new owner would then sort the communication out, with the fans, because at the minute it's, I mean, Alex Hurst of the trust, he's obviously tried his best to try and get communication with Mike Ashley and with the football club, and he's fighting a losing battle. I feel sorry for him, and even us, we've tried to try to reach out to communicate with them, and we've just been shot down at every which way, really. So it's like it's difficult communication wise. It's always going to be an uphill battle with Mike Ashley in charge, because he really doesn't care about the people of the football club. As long as you line these pockets, that's all he really cares about. So communication will never improve, Johnny, to answer your question.
Yeah. John says you should put a segment on your channel getting abroad fans' points of views. We've had Christopher, who was a fan from Australia. So we've had opinions in the past, but this is where you can come in your own. But tomorrow, obviously after the match, we'll be on the air 10 minutes later, where you can come onto the stream and get your point of view across. That's what we're all about here at Newcastle Fans TV. You got something different to say to Kyle or to Owen or to Sam or to whoever? Come on tomorrow, John. That's what Lee's put in the background as well. So yeah, we're more than happy to have you on. The stream will be, the link for the stream will be in the chat in regards to joining as well. It's very easy. Couple of clicks and you're in. Lee, have you got the WhatsApps ready? If you have, that'd be fantastic. If not, I can just say to Kyle in particular, how important is it in the future? Although we've got the WhatsApps anyway, it doesn't really matter. We'll come back on that one. Liam from London. If this American takes us over, I can see us doing a Sunderland. I think that's what I'm going to guess with. Just bear with us 1 second when it comes up. There we go. You can see the mouse moving. Yeah, if this American takes it, I can see us doing a Sunderland. I'll tell you what, Mystic Johnny. There you go. Owen, we'll see. We're going to talk about Henry Mauriss a little bit later, but do you think he could potentially do a Sunderland?
I haven't really looked that far into it, because I'm not. Look, I'm more focused on what we have in hand at the moment. If this takeover falls through that we're currently talking about, that's been with the Premier League for a matter of weeks now, then I will start to look at this suspected new bid. But from what I can see from the background of it, looks like something that Ashley has probably made up as a PR stunt to get the Premier League to hurry up with their decision, so he knows where he stands, because that's just the type of man he is. But from what I do know about him, possibly it wouldn't be as good as a Saudi-led takeover. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, and we'll mention that in the next part. Kyle, this one's for you. Evening, lads. How many points do you think we need to guarantee safety now? And who do you think they will come against? Keep up the good work, fellas. Thank you very much to whoever. It's unknown, so we don't have the name for that one. Very good question, Kyle. When you look at the next, say, 4 Premier League games, we've got Sheffield United tomorrow, Aston Villa on Wednesday. We've also got Bournemouth and West Ham are the next 4 games. Because obviously we've got the Man City Cup game in the middle of that. That looks like 4 games where you look at on paper and go, yeah, I think we can get something from them games.
Absolutely. They're the 4 that I would look at, because we've got a hard end of the season. I believe we'll play Man City away, and we've got Liverpool at home in the last 3 Premier League games of the season. And we've still got Spurs to play in between that as well. So next 4 games are huge. I think personally to get the 40-point mark is usually what you aim for to stay in the league. We're only 4 points adrift of that, so I'd say we only need 4 points. But if we hit the ground running tomorrow, I think the sky's the limit, and I don't think we should limit ourselves to 4 points if we win tomorrow. Obviously, teams in and around the bottom have proven from the restart it's not all roses and rainbows. I mean, Norwich got exposed the other day, and Bournemouth got exposed massively. Teams down the bottom end are really showing that lack of quality when they don't have a cauldron of fans with them. I think it's really shown. Away teams since the league started have really had it more of a when you've got a home lot of fans and they're behind the team, whatnot, the home team usually does a lot better. But with this empty stadium thing, I think it's more of a level playing field, and these lower teams are getting found out. So we need to make sure we're not in that crop of teams. So 4 points is what I'd be looking for, but I think we can aim for a lot higher than that.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair point about the away games. Only Brighton have won at home today, and I think it's only Brighton and Manchester City that have won at home at all since the Premier League's restarted. So it's very, very interesting. James has put, passionate fans don't deserve to be kept in the dark about this takeover. You think in this day and age someone could communicate with us to let us know the exact stage it's at and put all the media speculation to bed? What would you like to see the club do on a regular basis to improve communication with the fans? And that's from James. It's obviously a lengthy question, but it comes back to communication. What would be the first thing you'd like to see be done to improve?
I think, communication is such a simple thing once you've grasped it. It could be something just like putting a tweet out with an article attached on the club website saying da 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 da, and just updating us on the situation, or it could be something more in depth, like involving the fans. I know we have obviously the NUS and there's fans that are part of the fans forum and all that, but I think there just has to be that. We have to be, as a whole fan base, rather than select few people, we have to be given some sort of update. Obviously, this situation is sort of different because it's the Premier League and it is an entirely confidential process. But there's other things that you think about. There's definitely communication has to be there. Things have to be improved, and it could be anything from simple to complex. Just something would be good.
Yeah, for sure. And Kieran's got the last message before we go on a break. He's basically got the pictures or the leaked pictures of what the ground's going to look like tomorrow with all the flags around the stadium. He's put, I don't like the Sports Direct signs. It looks like, I can't say for sure, but it looks like with a lot of these flags that, yes, it'll say, how are the lads, or come on the tune or whatever, but it'll have like Sports Direct at the bottom of each flag, which obviously is another typical, but it is a selling point to say the least.
I'm fuming at that.
Why are you fuming?
Ridiculous.
Well, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's like all the other clubs I've seen. Okay, maybe I've seen one or two sponsors, but most of it has been about the fans and replacing the fans that would have been there. And I've seen like NHS ones, and I've seen Black Lives Matter ones as well, and all sorts. Why isn't the club branching out and trying to extend its relationship with the fans and other groups outside of football, rather than just putting a sloppy, tacky Sports Direct logo on it? It's beyond me. I'm angry at that, to be honest.
Very angry. Macaulay Connor says 3 points for the tune. I think it was Andrew that said they like the crowd noise. We're going to go on a break very, very shortly. In the comments below, if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, put in either I like crowd noise or I don't like crowd noise, and we'll see what the variety is from now to the next break. So Lee, whenever you're ready, we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
I'm here, joined by Lee and Owen, and we're going to discuss our new sponsor for Newcastle Fans TV, Beer 52. What have you got there, Owen?
It is a box full of beer from our sponsors, Beer 52. Amazing quality stuff.
And how did you go about getting such marvellous beer?
I just visited the link that we have in our description. It's called beer52.com/NFTV. Just sign up, £5.95 for a box full of beer. What more could you want? Great for cans.
Now, it's the largest beer tasting club, if you like, Lee. What are you drinking there?
So I've had just the one so far, but my box arrived yesterday. The first thing I noticed about it was all the colourful cans. I was like, ooh. I was opening all these up, and I've got one called Puffin Tears, and it comes from Cornwall IPA, 5%, which is a nice rounded figure for a nice beer. White and green is that one, so I've tasted that one. I can't wait to tuck into the others, but I do need to keep some, Sam, for Takeover. I'm trying to hold on. I'm really am.
What better way to get ready for hashtag cans than visiting beer52.com/NFTV? Although I don't think it'll hurt to crack one open now. I've gone for the Tiny Rebel Lazy Boy Lager, 4.3, so it's a session lager. Let's give it a go. Owen, what else have you got there inside your Beer 52 package?
Well, I've got a magazine called Ferment. Did you get the pun? Yeah, brilliant little magazine. Read through, you can find out all sorts in here, like beer creation. Fantastic. Also, I just thought I'd whip out one of my cans. Got the Two Tribes Electric Circus American Pale Ale, only 4.7%. So, obviously, if you don't want to get too drunk, just have one of those, chill out, relax in the sun, and enjoy #cans.
Absolutely. Lee, what better way to get yourself ready for cans than have beer arriving on your door every month?
Especially with the pubs on open at the moment, so you can have beer delivered to your front door, which is mint. You can also use your cans whenever you want. You can use it if you're going to watch Newcastle because you can't attend the games. You can watch them behind closed doors. And the great thing about it, what I like about it, it's not a contract. You can cancel your subscription whenever you like.
You certainly can. Join the nation's biggest beer tasting club at beer52.com/NFTV.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is The Black and White Show.
Welcome back to part 2. I've chuckled all the way through that Beer 52 advert. No, all because I know, obviously, the background about all the outtakes that Mr. Shepherd to the left of me had on a very difficult night, shall we say? Difficult night. But yeah, remember, if the artificial crowd noise has been brilliant by Andrew and USC. Remember, the only way you can guarantee your comments on the Black and White Show is through our WhatsApp, and our WhatsApp number is 0747 649 7166. Rowan Gulliver says, I don't like the crowd noise. So we've got a difference of opinion. Lawrence Taylor, I'm good with the crowd noise. Andrew's mentioned that he likes the crowd noise as well. Jose, I don't like the fake noise. It is definitely opinions are divided on this. Kieran says, I don't like the fake crowd noise. I prefer to hear what's going on in the stadium rather than fake noise. Jason Carter says they should do a crowd noise jukebox when we can hear the novelty background noise like the Benny Hill theme tune or cartoon sound effects while they're running around the show. If it was Benny Hill, that would be absolutely hilarious. Brandon says, I like the crowd noise, gives that bit of extra, otherwise it would be playing a game of FIFA without the sound on. So for makes it feel a bit more like a real game if you don't think too much about it. Kyle, Owen, what are your thoughts on crowd noise? Not the crowd noise when you're on Sky. If you're on the Sky main event channel, you'll have the crowd noise, or the fake crowd noise on the Premier League channel. It doesn't. Kyle, which channel are you switching on to?
I prefer no noise, to be honest. I don't like the fake noise at all. Because when I go to the games, I like the generate noise along with the singers in the Gallagher corner and the Strawberry corner. But the fake noise is just it's just awful. I know EA Sports helped them with the noises and the fake songs and things that are from the game, and they're atrocious as well. They don't reflect the actual atmosphere inside St James's Park, like. So I'm not looking forward to that aspect of it. In fact, I'd rather just listen to Matt Ritchie. I hope if he's starting, just listen to him, because half the things he's saying, there's no crowd to blind out what he's saying. So he'd be mad, him, like. So especially if we're scoring batter in the corner flag here in the anger, and and then you just put some classical opera music on in the background when we edit it back, be unreal.
If you haven't seen the Matt Ritchie interview with Sam, where you get a massive surprise, it's on the YouTube channel as well, where it's a big stitcher by Lee, and then Sam gets him back with Celeste Ferdinand, so it's 1-1 in regards to that one. Both on Newcastle Fans TV main YouTube channel. Owen, where do you stand? Do you agree with Kyle with the crowd noise, or do you like it with the fake crowd noise?
I like it. I think they've actually done quite a good job on it. I was unsure of it at first, and they were talking about CGI fans and stuff, which I know in I think it's Serie A have done the CGI fans as well as crowd noise. But I do quite like it. The only thing that doesn't quite match up is you're so used to you're hearing the crowd noise and then seeing the fans in the stadium. But now it's just you just hear this noise and it's just like these empty seats around you. Just like, where's that coming from? But if I was to say which channel I prefer, I quite like BT Sports version of the crowd noise compared
don't tell Lee that.
Compared to Sky's. I know Lee might be a little bit offended, but I don't know. I quite like the boos and just it's the topical noises that the BT lot do rather than Sky's just generic ball crosses the goal line, crowd cheers type thing, and just the generic chanting compared to BT's topical noises.
We work with BT. They're wonderful. They are wonderful. They're one of the main networks that obviously we've gone on with before. Same with Sky. Same with Amazon. Amazon have got 4 live games for free as well, including Watford versus Newcastle, which we'll talk about a little bit later on as well. But because Owen said that about BT over Sky, Owen might not be at Newcastle Fans TV much longer. So if you want to say goodbye to Owen, you get your good luck messages to him now. Right, we're going to talk about Takeover. We've had a few comments over the show so far about the Takeover. The main headlines, really, there still hasn't been a final decision from the Premier League. A lot of people are saying that we are days away from a decision rather than weeks away. So take that with a pinch of salt. As you can see on screen, Keith Downey, who obviously is part of Sky Sports, has said that the US businessman Henry Mauriss, the chief executive of Clear TV, has lodged a £350 million bid, which is £50 million more than Amanda Staveley's Saudi-backed takeover, if that was to fall through. So basically, if the Premier League reject this deal, Mauriss is there with a £350 million bid. Owen, an extra £50 million on the table. Is it just noise, or do you think there's any truth in it?
Definitely just noise, in my opinion. Look, if you're a businessman, why would you whack 50 million on top? I think Lee was saying this in the group chat the other day. Why would you whack 50 million on top and not say 10 million or something like that, just to up the ante, just to buy a little bit? Why add a whole extra 50 million on? It just seems a little bit convenient. Seems like a little bit made for the media, which is why, as I said earlier, I think it's maybe a PR stunt by Ashley, because it just seems just a bit idealistic that all of a sudden, the Premier League checks are dragging on, and all of a sudden this US businessman jumps out of the crowd with a 350 million pound offer on the table. It just seems all a bit too suspicious, all a bit too convenient, and something just doesn't quite line up about it.
Yeah, Kyle, it just doesn't add up, does it? Because why would you say that you've made a £350 million bid when you know that the Saudi deal potentially is a couple of steps away from being completed? Do you think it's just there to put the pressure on the Saudi bid? Because it's basically saying, well, if you don't pass the test from the Premier League, I'm going to come in and take over the club and make sure it gets done before the season starts, as Mr. Mauriss likes to think will happen.
I don't even think Mr. Mauriss thinks it's going to happen, Johnny. Honestly, this whole link, this whole story is the biggest load of bullshit I've seen in a long time. For me, it was all of it was a farce. You look into it, Mauriss has been done for fraud in the past, so he wouldn't even pass the test anyway. The bloke apparently brokering the deal, Ashley's best mate, served a 4-year sentence for £1 million fraud case for JB Sports. Just stinks of Keith Bishop, mate, the whole lot. And do you know what I'm disappointed in? Honestly, the journalists that posted it, Keith Downey, Luke Edwards, expect so much better out of these journalists.
Kyle, are they just doing their job, though?
It's known the difference between what's actually news and what's just complete bullshit and looking for clicks. Like, don't get us wrong, I've got a lot of respect for these journalists, and they do get a lot of stick when it comes to being online and whatnot. And we've had the two that I've mentioned on the channel before, and they're really nice lads when I've met them and things like that. But as journalists, they'll know the difference between absolute lies and full-on truth to me. And for them to post something like this in the amount that they did and have a complete wildfire for a day, let's ask you a question, lads. Has anything been followed up since that day media storm regarding this? No. Keith Bishop, all over it. He's the one who put he's probably the one who's set this all up to either do one or two things: to put pressure on the Premier League, or to make this deal fall through, or something like that. You don't know what Mike Ashley's intentions are at any given period. So for me, this whole Henry Mauriss thing, whatever his flipping name is, don't care. Forget about it. Honestly, it's a load of bullshit. Don't believe it. It's never ever going to happen. It's all Mike Ashley and co chatting a waffle, and the newspapers biting again. So they need to stop and just stay quiet regarding the takeover until they hear something credible, like maybe a result of the Premier League test or something from the WTO report, something worth reporting instead of this utter dross, please.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Lee, if you can get the comment from Matt Hurd, because I thought that was a really good point that you put on his on that last comment. So if you can get that up, that'd be brilliant. The other question is, why now, Owen? Are the media just getting clickbaiting articles for us to rile us up? Do you think they have any idea what's going on, or do you feel that unless you're very, very close to the buyers or very, very close to Mike Ashley, you don't really know what's going on?
I think definitely the latter. It's a takeover. It's an entirely confidential process. No one outside of that small group of people who are either brokering the deal, putting money into the deal, or negotiating the deal know anything about it. What gets me is it's just beyond stupid, the amount of people that say things as if they're in the know or whatever. That really frustrates me because it's like you don't know anything. And it gets too many people excited for what it really is. But yeah, definitely what you said. It's just people that are close to the deal that know what's exactly is going on.
Yeah, Wallstone says, I'll agree, Kyle. You got one person agreeing with you, mate.
Spot on. One's enough.
Funko, Freddie and Co. Staley can try and sue a bank for $1 billion. Do you think Ashley would say pay 5% to get the ball rolling? Rather. What do you think Stavely would do to Ashley? I don't think Stavely and Ashley are. It's not really massively down to them if the money gets transferred and basically the deal is more or less done. If they pass the Premier League test, they've already put a 5% deposit. Jonathan Young says Luke Edwards is Mr. Negative. He's a very. It's obviously an interesting discussion. Luke Edwards, he's done obviously a few interviews, especially with us, which obviously did very well. And Rob did a very good interview with Luke Edwards. But he does like to get the minute of every information. He wants to try and make it as a question. Do you think he's just doing his job? I know he's been getting a lot of stick, but do you think it's unjust, or do you think maybe, I don't know, he's just doing his job basically, just trying to learn the facts?
Well, he's a fantastic journalist. He is. I'll get this up before Owen, but yeah, he's a fantastic journalist. He does question everything. Lee's even spoke about it at length how good of a journalist is, and if they weren't a credible journalist or a good journalist, we wouldn't have them on. And FTV wouldn't try and connect with them and things like that. Wouldn't do anything like that. But he is good at his job. I just think they've had a bit of a howler with this whole link. But I own what were you going to say, mate?
I was going to say, this is a journalist's job. Journalists ask questions, go into the minute details, appear negative, because quite frankly, most of the stuff that goes on around Newcastle United is negative. There's always going to be a negative side of things, and it's always going to appear negative from a journalist's view because they're trying to give us the information, and that information is not always what you want to hear, but it's the right information. So I think to call him negative is maybe a little bit harsh. I think he's just doing his job, as with every other journalist. Their job is to put stories out that are related to Newcastle, and they're doing exactly that. Whether it's true or false, it doesn't really matter. My second point is my laptop's about to run out of charge, so I'm just going to run downstairs and grab my charger.
No problem. Kyle, as Owen is having technical issues, which I've never had in my life, we'll talk about the WTO report. Obviously, it was a massive report that was going to be negative towards the Saudis, but it wasn't negative towards PIF, which is quite interesting. They're basically saying that the Saudis knew about this BIQ box, which was obviously getting the rights from being Sports. Obviously, you've seen Richard Keys and Andy Gray in the last couple of days, so obviously talking about the fact that they're delighted that the WTO, which is the World Trade Organization, which you can see on your screen, have obviously been on their side and have basically said that the Saudis have tried to enforce rights through civil enforcement procedures. So it's obviously been quite interesting to see how it's been going on, but they don't mention PIF, Kyle. And PIF actually came up with a statement to say that they're obviously delighted to, and obviously are pleased that they haven't put their name on this statement. So surely the green light's there for PIF to take over Newcastle, surely?
I mean, you'd hope so, but obviously the Premier League are going to drag this out as long as they can do. But when I did my video on the second channel, which you can check out at any time, that I've put up regarding this Henry Mauriss deal, where I basically says what I said before. But one thing I blamed was actually the Premier League. I know they've been stretching it out and been waiting for this report, but if PIF have been cleared, and to be honest, Saudi Arabia didn't get as much of the hairdryer as what was thought, because there was reports going around the media saying Newcastle were mentioned throughout the report. Reports of Newcastle and PIF having the kitchen sink thrown at them, even though we're not involved with anything Saudi Arabia. But okay, but on the plus side, I suppose none of that really happened, and although there is a couple of things here and there regarding Saudi Arabia, there's no link between them and PIF. So it does bode well for Newcastle. I just hope the Premier League don't take too long. I hope they don't drag this out even longer than it already is, because what is it, 10 11 weeks now for what is supposed to be a 4-week test. Now I understand Project Restart's been a thing, and the coronavirus has been a thing, but at the end of the day, this test should not take as long as it has, and the only people that have really suffered as a result of it has been us fans, where we've been going, is it next week, or we're going to hear anything, and then media bite onto other stories of other people wanting to buy the club, and there's people in the know, and apparently the deal's going to happen in a couple of days, and then it's not, and then it doesn't happen, and then toxicity builds, and it's just been a frustrating 10 weeks. And I just, either way, whether they accept it or reject it, obviously I'd rather they accepted it, but we need a conclusion soon. I mean, I thought this would have had a conclusion well before the football came back, and yet we'll play tomorrow, and we're still wondering what's going on with the takeover. So either which way, they need to hurry up and make a decision, because it's us suffering at the end of the day with it.
Yeah, we've got a comment from Lee Jeffrey, who is obviously a subscriber to our membership groups, which you can be a part of as well. He says, "Good morning from Australia, lads. I believe it's gone so long because they've been trying to get the Premier League sorted. It's their main priority now. It's going to be hopefully very soon." Mauriss is an American. Ashley says, "Damien Pierce." Owen, it seems like he's worse apparently. He's more of an American Donald, says Liam in USA. But Owen, it's a good point. I think Jason made a similar point as well to Lee, that Project Restart is the number one priority for the Premier League right now. They need Premier League football. That's their baby. That's their product. That's what they want to be shown across the world. That's why it's on every channel known to man. That has to take priority over any takeover at the minute.
Of course. Look, football being on is their main source of revenue and exposure. And without it being back on, Newcastle's takeover doesn't even equate to that. You got to have the football back on first, in my opinion. And I hate saying this because I really do want this takeover to be done and dusted. So one, I can stop tearing my hair out about it, and two,
doesn't get you anywhere. Owen.
Yeah, exactly. But Project Restart, I understand it's definitely got to be their number one priority. But now, look, it's done. It's dusted. It seems to be going smoothly. We haven't had any problems, apart from that ghost goal. But that's nothing to do with Project Restart, really. In the Sheffield United Aston Villa game, that was. But yeah, it's done. It's dusted. Let's move on. Let's see what happens. Hopefully, we hear something, whether it's positive or negative, in the next week or two. Is what I'd say. Hopefully it's not negative. I think we're all praying for a positive result out of this, but whichever way, I'd like to hear what's gone on and what the ruling is from the Premier League.
Yeah, for sure. It's a massive waiting game. This is your last chance to get your WhatsApps in. It's 074 764 97166. We'll be reading them out in the next maybe 10 minutes or so before the end of tonight's show. Kyle, final thing on this takeover roundup, shall we say, this for the last 7 days. The government, I've been talking about it on Sky News with Kay Burley. Dominic Raab says the government aren't involved in any takeover discussion. There's a proper process that the Premier League have to take. Kay Burley says, well, you are a football fan. You must have some sort of opinion, and obviously, like politicians do, they dodge the question. But he obviously had the same debate with Roman Abramovich and Chelsea. He believes that investment into football, into this country, can be a good thing, but obviously they need to pass the relevant tests. There's actually been some MPs believe that the deal should be blocked. I believe Oliver Dowden believes that this deal should be blocked. But again, Oliver Dowden's not going to have the final say on this deal. It's going to be Richard Masters and his associates at the Premier League. But is it a good or a bad thing that the government are talking about it? Or do you feel like the government just don't want to talk about it in general because they've got a very good relationship with the Saudis with a fantastic trade deal by all extents?
Probably plays into both yes and no, to be honest, mate. Obviously there will be politicians that don't want it to happen, but you know, with Mike Ashley, we've had Chianora, who's really helped us the past couple of years, trying to push the envelope of how bad of a person Mike Ashley is, and with everything recently with Mike Ashley pissing off the government, it's just been proven to be right. So, you know, government officials, certain people will have agendas against or for whatever. That's why they're politicians. They're meant to have an opinion on things. But yeah, it's just one of them, Johnny. It's irrelevant to me what the government are saying. If they want to pursue a good working relationship with Saudi Arabia, which they have for many a year, then they'll make sure this deal gets passed, won't they?
Yeah, but, definitely.
The government have already said they're not involved. It's all down to the Premier League, like it has been for the last flipping 2 months. So hurry up, Premier League, please.
Oh, and do you think the government should be actually talking about anything football related, or do you feel that they should be focusing on coronavirus, for example?
It's tough because at the end of the day, it's an English football club in England, and they have every right to. They have dealings with Saudi Arabia. That in fact very lucrative deals with Saudi Arabia. Very good links with them. I think they have every right to say what they want. Everyone has a different opinion, which is 2020. Everyone's allowed to have a different opinion. Some we may agree with, some we may not. But I think someone like Dominic Raab coming out and saying they have the same sort of thing with Chelsea and whatever. I think the government, and I'm on about the people that are actually in power here, not just the whole of the House of Commons, which is an absolute rabble on its own, but the government in itself. I think they're quite keen to keep that relationship with Saudi Arabia. People like Dominic Raab, Boris Johnson, that sort of bunch, they're quite keen to keep that relationship up. And from what I've heard, Saudi Arabia are looking, or the PIF are looking to pump 900 million into the city of Newcastle, not just the club but the city, which would also be a great thing to get another city absolutely pumping, good for the economy, which I know is a conservative government key point is to pump up the economy and whatnot. So yeah, it makes sense for the current government to approve the deal, but obviously everyone has different opinions, and everyone's entitled to the different opinions.
Yeah. Guy Brush, it's 4:53 a.m. here. Good night, lads. 3-0 tomorrow up the Mags. Thanks for your dedication to watch it.
Have a good night's kip, mate, and hopefully 3 points tomorrow.
Good night's sleep.
10 to 5 in the morning, he's looking at us. Christ.
That's Lee's normal bedtime, That's Lee's bedtime.
Nightmares.
Exactly. What else to say? Mike Elliott, the Takeover saga is doing the Toon fans' heads in. I'll be glad when it's all over and when we get answers either way. We can concentrate on our great club, Newcastle United Football Club. Exactly. If Bruce stays, if Takeover happens, it'll be like Marquis at Man City when they get taken over, says Liam from NUSC. 900 million, that seems a lot of money to invest in a City after nearly Lee's salary for a whole year, believe it or not. Last chance, very, very last chance to WhatsApp us. It's 07476 497166. Couple of last little things that we've picked up in the last week or so. Freddie Woodman wants first team football. And he's not going to get that in Newcastle. It doesn't look like if Martin Dubravka is still going to be number one. He says, I think the club know and the fans know that I absolutely love it here, as in Swansea. I'd love to carry on next season. When you're enjoying your footy and enjoying where you live, it makes life so much easier. But in football, it's not really up to the player's choice. It's about the clubs. Simple question, Kyle. Do you think Freddie Woodman should be sold? Because it doesn't seem he's going to get much of a chance at Newcastle in the near future. Do you think Newcastle should just let him go?
It's a hard one, mate, because he's a good goalkeeper, and it gives you like a flashback towards Fraser Forster when he wasn't getting used, and Tim Krul was heavily favoured at the time, and we sold him on to Celtic, and he went on to have a brilliant Champions League run with Celtic, beating Barcelona, getting in Scottish Team of the Year 4 or 5 seasons running, and then got a good move to Southampton. Then he went on to get into the World Cup squad for England. So like, there's like a massive thought of that could happen again. But for me, Martin Dubravka is probably one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. I mean, you're talking about the best goalkeepers in the league, with David De Gea and that, and he can't even save a shot straight at him. Whereas Martin Dubravka, across all parts of his game, is relatively solid. And whereas goalkeepers are concerned in this day and age, it's very hard to come by. So for me, Dubravka stays number one. I know Freddie Woodman's improved a vast amount of his game, but he's still nowhere near the level of Martin Dubravka for me. And I know Freddie's at the age now where he wants first team football week in and week out, and Swansea's able to give him that. So it's a risk because he could go on to great things, but I think I would sell him on and keep ahead of one of Dardo or Elliott to be the number 2 goalkeeper, personally.
Well, Elliott's out of contract at the end of the season, so end of June, and he's not getting offered a new one according to the Athletic as well. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. Just another brief bit of news. Obviously, the Chronicle and the club actually confirmed it. I think it was either this morning or yesterday, that 6 players have renewed for a short-term basis, as in obviously our loan players. So Andy Carroll, Javier Manquillo, Matty Longstaff, Valentino Lazaro, Danny Rose, and Nabil Bentaleb. I suppose it's good news that we've got all those 6 players available just in case injuries, etc. I suppose obviously Matty Longstaff is the big one. Obviously, Steve Bruce mentioned in his press conference the fact that it's a very good offer and he should really consider it. The offer, in my opinion, I think it's a fair offer if you believe what the press say. It's about £20,000 a week for a young lad who is playing for his hometown club. What are your views on this, Owen? Do you think maybe he should just sign this deal just so that he can just focus on his football?
I think it's a positive that Longstaff has accepted, this short extension, because it shows that we've offered somewhat what he would have wanted for, a proper contract extension. There was talk of him, leaving at the end of June, which would have been the worst case scenario out of all of this, because, we don't want to be losing him. But I think, what you said, £20,000 a week. I don't think anybody turns down unless, you're an absolute billionaire and you're taking a pay cut. But I think £20,000 a week for what he's offered so far. Yes, he's got bags of potential. We all know that. But for what he's offered so far, and you can only base it off that. What he's offered so far, I think £20,000 a week is more than fair. He's scored three Newcastle goals now. One against Rochdale, and then obviously one against Man United at home, one away. So, and he hasn't made many appearances, so we haven't exactly seen him churn out, performances week in, week out yet. We've seen the odd glimpse of him here and there. I think £20,000 a week is fair. I think maybe push it to 25. That's as high as I'd go for someone of his caliber. But any more than that is stupid, really. But I think it sounds negative. It sounds like I don't want him to stay, but I think he's one of the most promising players, midfield players in the Premier League. If I'm honest, from what we've seen of him so far, he has a clean connection with the ball. He can go forwards and backwards. And he's got an eye for goal as well, which is always a positive. So, I'd like to see him sign on even further. 5-year contract. Go on, Newcastle. Slap it on the table.
5-year contract for any 29 lads. Fantastic. Jason, I think I'm happier about Manquillo extending his contract than any of the others. Again, there's a lot of rumours that Manquillo might go a little bit further, might be in the say 2 or 3 year deal, which will be good for him. Maybe potentially he can improve more, maybe in the coming years at Newcastle. We'll get the WhatsApps coming up now if we can. While he's doing that, I'll just quickly remind everybody of the scores today. Watford 1, Leicester 1. Chilwell giving Leicester the lead, and then Dawson equalising for Watford. Brighton 2, Arsenal 1. Pepe giving Arsenal the lead, Dunk equalising, and then Neil Maupay scoring right at the end. West Ham 0, Wolves 2. Jimenez and Neto giving Wolves all 3 points, and finally Owen's Bournemouth 0, Crystal Palace 2, Milivojevic and Ayew with the goals, as Owen looks back in just disbelief. Right, let's have a look at the last couple of questions. Kyle, with Takeover unresolved for a long time, Newcastle performances could be low. Who would be to basically, if Newcastle went on a bad run, who would be to blame? Would it be the people that are obviously trying to get this Takeover done because there's been so much noise, or should it just be the actual players that haven't put the performances in?
To be fair, it's a good point. It's a good question, because there's been twice we've been linked with takeovers. The first one with Amanda Staveley, and you remember when on that run of like 6 or 7 games where we only picked up a point away to West Brom a couple of seasons back, and then the second time was with Peter Kenyon and went on a bad run there. So it is known for when Newcastle link with a takeover for shit to hit the fan. So I hope it doesn't affect too much, but if it does, then the only people you can't. I don't know who to blame on that one. It's actually a really good question. Do you blame the players for having their heads turned potentially in your owner? Do you blame the pressure from the media? Like, do you blame the manager? It's very much a difficult one, but I hope the takeover talk doesn't affect it too much. I know Bruce was speaking about it and saying, because obviously in the off season he's had his name linked to being out the door, and he's still manager of the club, and he spoke about that and saying it was a little disrespectful and things like that. But yeah, to try and answer the question, it could be a mixture of all of them. To be fair, of who to blame, it could be owner, it could be whoever. It's an element of both. I don't know if you agree, lads, but
I think it is an element of both, Kyle. I think, I would say the players have more of a blame because obviously they're the ones on the pitch, but obviously Bruce has got to put the right team out, right formation out, and obviously we'll see what happens tomorrow. Liam from London says, if the Saudis take over, what do you want us to have the same model as? Would you like it as Wolves and Leicester? Not saying that we'll win the Premier League like Leicester did in 2016. Owen, is the model of the Wolves, the Leicester type, in your opinion, a better model short term and potentially even long term, if you look at like the training grounds example, that Newcastle should copy?
Yeah, I think the model of those two clubs is exactly what you want to be building off straight away. They spend a nice amount of money. They also have a good roster of talent that they can sell on for more. They push towards Europe each season, which is also always a positive. So, it's not somewhere I'd like us to stay at. I want us to push on. I want us to eventually, in a matter of years, depending on how well this takeover goes, I'd like to put us to push on, right to the top of the table. But for a starting off point, getting past that getting past that 10th and pushing for Europa League each season, like Wolves and Leicester do, definitely is something that is a model I'd love to see.
Yeah, for sure. And the final one's from Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence, hope you're doing well tonight. The supposed offer from Matty is a good one. Would find it strange if Udinese have offered 30,000 when the highest earner is on 25. I think he'll stay. I agree. I think the Any29 lad will stay at Newcastle. It'd just be nice to see him get a few more games when some of the players at the club I don't think warrant as many games as a Matty, for example. But that remains to be seen. It is a very busy day tomorrow on Newcastle Fans TV. Of course, we've got the match Sheffield United versus Newcastle, which is fantastic news. That'll be live from 2 o'clock. We will be live 10-15 minutes at the very most after the game with a live stream for an hour roughly, talking about everything Newcastle versus Sheffield United. Hopefully we're talking about a win in which Newcastle can move up a couple of places. I think they can go as high as 12th if they were to get all 3 points tomorrow. We'll obviously have that live show for an hour. We'll then have a short break, roughly about 20 minutes. We will then get to do a live player ratings as well. So that'll be really, really good as well. So really, really fantastic stuff going on Newcastle Fans TV. My thanks to Owen, my thanks to Kyle, and my thanks to everybody for watching tonight on the Black and White Show. We'll be back next week where we're talking about 2 games. We're talking about the Sheffield United game and the Aston Villa game as well. So stay tuned, and hopefully Newcastle can get 2 wins on the board before we play Man City in the FA Cup. Thanks very much, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
The Black and White Show will be with you after this short break. See you in a few minutes.
Today, we're going to talk about Amazon. We have our very own Amazon store in which you can find pretty much anything to do with Newcastle United, from shirts to pencil cases to anything you want. Lee, what have you bought from our Amazon store?
Oh, I love a good pencil case and duvet, don't I? As that's been around the internet before. No, I've got a lot of stuff, not just Newcastle stuff. I've also got a lot of tech stuff that we use, like cameras and mics from Amazon. So they do a lot of stuff on our Amazon store. But I'll probably say that my favourite is the shirts, because we do a lot more range. But you can get anything. You can get literally anything from a pen to a bottle of vodka to bed sheets, you name it. Amazon has it all.
Yeah, Amazon is great for its range of products, and the best part is that we aren't giving anything to Mike Ashley and Sports Direct. Nothing Sports Direct related on that store. Sam, how brilliant is that?
Purchasing Newcastle memorabilia 100% guilt-free.
Mm-hmm.
That man is not receiving any of your money for your purchases on our Amazon store. I myself love the memorabilia section. I don't know about you boys. But classic shirts from years gone by, signed photos of Newcastle legends. Alan Shearer, Shay Given, Les Ferdinand. They're all on here, all on our Amazon store. It's a cracking find.
That's just reminded me, Sam, because I actually like car accessories as well. So I've got a lot of fresheners in my car, which are Newcastle United. Literally, my car is kitted out.
Don't tell me you can get a Newcastle United car air freshener from our Amazon store.
You're not
yes, you can.
Several, Sam. There's loads there. So if you want your car looking nice, you're supporting Newcastle United. Just be careful where you park your car. But apart from that, it's fantastic. Get all them accessories.
Yeah, so fantastic. If you want anything, pretty much anything Newcastle United related, check out our Amazon store. Link will be in the description below. Go have yourself a gander and you might find yourself a good bargain.
Welcome back to the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.